now we get to talk about the teams again. Like,
Alright, let's talk about Pimp's hero pool.
Yeah.
See if it coincides with any of these pro teams.
For every hero that gets picked, we cross-reference it. Is this a good hero or not, based on JG's win rate? Right, so going into this game, storylines for these two teams is quite different. IG did very well early in the year. T1 did better later in the year. When we say year, we obviously mean the competitive season leading to TI. However, T1, in my opinion, looked a bit less strong in the last month than they did prior to that. And IG is a bit more of a question mark, I'm fair to say, especially because, unfortunately for them, ran into some complications with COVID here. That means I do believe their players are playing from slightly separate rooms to quarantine and isolate away from else to keep it safe the extent that's possible. And we'll see how that affects them. But still, going into this game, I think in many people's minds, IG probably the favorite on paper.
Yeah.
But let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so, IG, of course, doing extremely well, like you said. I mean, T1 did very well.
Yes.
Kind of tapered off. Would agree, IG. Tiny is going to be first ban, so forget what our predictions were for most bans.
I picked Tiny for that.
Okay, well,
I think
starting to be correct here.
Did you also choose?
Don't remember. It doesn't matter. Maybe we can ask JG what he.
This is one of the. This is one of the supposed most expected bans. Right?
Yeah.
So, and usually in the start, predictions for most banned hero will very often be spot on. It's like heroes that are considered strong in the meta, and then as you get later, teams maybe start giving it away and having counters and solutions that they want to spice things up. And so, another hero that's going to be hot here,
Invictus
I think, Monkey King, being banned by IG. It's been looking really good lately. With the first pick, IO.
And I didn't really think about it. That was a pretty fast pick. Like typically TI first games series, I guess you could say for any. A lot of teams have, I don't want to call them pocket strat, but they've kind of figured out what they want to do and they worry less about the opponent to some, like, versus like a game 2 or 3.
Good for my prediction. Elder Titan picked. That is the most. Lion, by the way, it's not a team with Kaka if they don't pick Lion. Kaka is drafting, so that means he's gonna pick Lion.
10 seconds remaining.
Probably the most iconic Lion player in the world, I would say, at this point.
5 seconds remaining.
Kind of grabs it in any patch that is good. Has been nerfed slightly,
T1's
but still
turn
is
to battle.
very solid.
Invictus Gaming's turn to
Standard IO
battle.
combo here. Something to keep in mind about IO. Recently, Seb, for example, has been playing a lot of offlane IO.
MMR
there is the possibility, if that is a meta thing that teams are playing in their scrims and it's not just OG, that IO could be not even paired with Gyro here in lane, but that they connect later in the game.
5
and you
seconds
hit
remaining.
a better mech locket timing by putting in a core. And let's say Gyro gets his first major item, Ags or something like that, and then at that time with a support IO, maybe you have one of the 2 items, but if it's a core IO, you have both, and maybe you're on your way to even very item that's you for the Gyro. So maybe that's the kind of strategy.
Alright, Cinder, I'm gonna throw a curveball at him.
Invictus Gaming's turn to ban.
Lifesteal or Ags?
No, not a pick. Okay. Do you think there's any possibility Gyro could be?
Yes.
Like, this would be a perfect flex in a situation like this, because IG are assuming this is a Gyro, and then you don't ban any
10
position.
seconds remaining.
You really want it. That would be very cool.
Definitely, I think this opening is flexible on this because Gyro can be played 5. Technically be played mid if you do want to do that, and with IO having this potential new role, at least a different core position, both of these heroes could play in lanes. Very, very flexible. So here's the Venge ban. This is a hero I think we're going to be seeing a lot of bans in the second phase. Maybe it will creep up in priority to first phase later down the line. The Razor ban seems targeted at protecting Gyro. It's one of the worst anti-carry matchups he has. Makes me think even more that this Gyro is just meant to be the carry, but again, you can mislead the enemy team bans like this, especially if Razor would also be good against the other carry you're planning for. Let's say it was a Sven or Lifestealer or Ursa, like whatever doesn't really enjoy facing
Is there
facing
any
the Razor.
Is there an enemy
Invictus
that IO
Gaming's
does
turn
not?
to ban.
Because I know in like really old patches, we
Mhm.
talked about this years ago. AC, the witch doctors of the world, the wyverns, the
Invictus
liches.
Gaming's
None of those
turn
are really
to
considered like
T1's
hard counters
turn
per
to
se
pick.
against like
Right.
locate. Is there something that you don't want to see?
I
Like
think
anti-heal maybe? Or-
anti-heal is annoying, and I think heroes that are exceptionally mobile and can catch you. That's why the Stormban is really... IO's biggest struggle is when heroes come up close. Obviously, the
seconds
primary role
remaining.
of the hero, especially as a support, is just to protect, but it can't protect
5
itself.
seconds remaining.
So, Spectre, Storm, heroes like, I think even something along the lines of Nyx Assassin, which is banned here as well, however by IG, can be decent against IO. You know, Carapace to proc off spirits if IO skills that, and if not, you have some sort of scouting tool that can catch IO off guard and just get the kill quickly. Bursting IO is extremely impactful because it's not just that the hero gets killed, but you deny all the healing that would go on your primary target that you just can't go for because IO is there, right? So we're gonna see Lina grabbed here by IG. Not too common that we have Lion and Lina in the same team. Part of their kits are similar, obviously Laguna Blade and Finger of Death, very hard
T1's
single
turn
damage.
to pick.
Maybe playing against the IO logic here, burst it.
Are you
Magic
assuming this is going to be a mid, like emo, Lina?
Yeah, probably. I don't think they're going to play Ollie on Lion. They could play 5 Lion, 4 Lina, and 3 ET, but I feel like that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
And
10
most likely the
seconds
first 2
remaining.
heroes we see here from IG are the supports. Elder Titan will more than likely be
5
grabbed by
seconds
Ollie. It's
remaining.
a strong 5. Digging the Clockwork. A good setup for
Invictus
relocate
Gaming's
ganks. It's a
turn
very
to
good hero against
pick.
Elder Titan. Hero that wants to stay in the back lines and throw out his spells. You can combo break him really easily with hookshot, and he has no real way of combating you in the cogs. So, he's solid. Also, another hero that doesn't want to be close.
Most likely a Carl DK here.
10
Yeah,
seconds
probably.
remaining.
It's kind of a feels like kind of a boring hero.
I think after the
5
nerfs to Dragon
seconds
Knight, I
remaining.
want to say this is a relatively Lina favored matchup. Could also be offlane DK, of course.
That's
for
true.
Cuckoo, it's not the question. They obviously IG with their homework done here
They
will be
did-
banning Doom.
They did play a lot of positions. That was so long ago.
and
That,
it was a lot better.
yeah, it's
I think the nerfs to Dragon's Blood hurt more in the off
T1's turn to ban.
because you get the levels slower, so the amount of the time that you need to suffer through the nerf is just...
right. And they're the next remodel in the game.
Sure, this is going to win the Arcana vote if there's one this year.
I doubt it. I don't
Yeah,
think
I doubt
anybody-
as well.
Everybody just assumes. All right, so how are
10
the combos here?
seconds remaining.
You can.
Turn into Gyro.
Yep, that's always good with the
5
flat cannon.
seconds
Is there
remaining.
any reason with the current lineup to?
No, not really. I think Morph just wants to turn into Gyro all game and maybe buy E-Blade so he can set up for this insane magic burst with Lina Lion and Elder Titan Aura.
Invictus
And
Gaming's
it's also a hero
turn
that
to
can
ban.
burst Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight's
T1's turn to ban.
deceptively weak against magic damage unless he itemizes for it, but at the moment you force Dragon Knight to itemize for that, you're already slowing down his power curve, right? Like Dragon Knights love to go Tread's Dagger with Soul Ring. If you have to make a pit stop for a hood, that means there's another like 3 or 4 minutes in the game if Dragon Knight's farming
10
that he's
seconds
not
remaining.
finding move, pressuring towers in the same way that he could from a
5
Link Dagger
seconds
pickoff into the
remaining.
push. So I actually think this Morphling pick really, really strong here for that reason. Also because T1 genuinely have no burst. That's what kills Morphling is burst. It's not consistent damage over time. Whereas
And they took all the burst themselves at this
Right.
point, right?
a little bit worried for T1's ability to deal with this hero. I think their last pick needs to solve Morphling.
So it probably needs to be a mid then. Certainly a. Okay.
Yeah. I guess offlane DK should be okay against Elder Titan, right? Because what that hero does is he gathers all the damage with Astral Spirit and then runs at the carry. And then you just Dragon Tail him and go again, I guess.
And then the armor
Should be
aspect,
okay.
it's plus armor.
Yeah. Yes, that's also good against...
What's a mid for
Invictus
one that would,
Gaming's turn to ban.
like a Void Spirit type, perhaps? It's not... Feels like Morphling's just gonna get...
Yeah. I think
10 seconds
Pugna
remaining.
could be a thing.
Really? Oh man,
It has a lot of spell
5
burst
seconds
against
remaining.
Morph. It has the ward against Lina, Lion, ET. They, especially Lina and Lion, really have high mana. It gives you the ability to push towers together with Dragon Knight. It's kind of hard commitment, but I honestly would like to see T1 not try to play a long game here, because I think if you go late, you're playing into ET Morph with these heroes. It's tough. I think Gyro will lose his armor when he gets farmed. He's just going to get blown apart, probably. So a timing mid-game focused lineup with the IO, I think would be really strong. Get the mech and or lock it, and then you have heroes that push.
Pick.
Looks like IG are anticipating Dragon Knight mid though. They're banning Darkseer, which is almost exclusively played in the offlane. Good pairing with Clockwork, so it does make sense, but I don't really think that's where T1 were going with this.
Invictus
wall is
Gaming's
also decent.
turn to
Night Stalker. All right.
Okay.
Instant counterpick.
Tide.
choose your hero.
So, Night Stalker.
T1's still low on that burst, right? Night Stalker gives them a silence, which is nice against Morphling. If you get the dagger, then you can catch him before he gets off attribute shift, and maybe you can find a kill that way. It is going to be played by Cuckoo, so Carl will be going mid on the Dragon Knight, which gives you a... I still think a kind of rough matchup. I'm curious to see how it actually plays out. This last pick Tide, I like it. I like what IG is bringing here for the first game. It looks very stable. T1 needs to play a little bit more explosive in the mid game. Use the relocate and Night Stalker, find hook shots. I love Whitemon's Clockwork though, I gotta say. I really like to see when 5 position Clockworks understand that dying is a part of the game on that.
They're
hero.
used to that one.
That is seriously what Clockwork 5 does. He goes in, he sets up the fight, and if you die tanking key spells, that is the best you can have. So I really like how self-sacrificial playing this hero when he plays it. And I think in this game, you look at the IG lineup, somebody's going to play. There is so much first that you kind of need to combo break and split up the fight. Clockwork here, so your other heroes have a little bit of protection. Thrive. So exciting stuff. I like both drafts, but I gotta favor IG slightly at least. Ability here.
I mean, it feels like a lot of pressure on Coop.
Yeah.
Like, IO can take 20, or Zephyr can take 23 Savage and he set it up, but crippling fear against Morph.
Yeah, the key timings for T1 are, I think, Blink Daggers, right? Dagger and Dragon Knight, and it's Dagger and Night Stalker, because those are the 2 things that enable them to relocate. Except Hookshot, but Hookshot doesn't kill Morph. So if you Hookshot Morphling, it's a 1.5 second stun, he starts attribute shift, you relocate doesn't kill at all. So I think the ease of execution here really for T1 comes down to when the daggers come into play. If they get the daggers late because their lanes go poorly, then I'm afraid that they're just going to get overpowered.
你这么菜的队友不会生气吧？你这么菜
Let's
的队
see
友
what the
不会
lanes
生
are going to be
气吧，
set
哥
first. Like the
哥？
obvious
你这么
lanes here
菜
would
的队
obviously
友
be
不
Io
会生
Gyro
气
safe
吧？
lane, and
你
then
这么
off
菜
is
的队友
Clockwork
不
Night
会
Stalker.
生
Sorry,
气
not
吧，哥哥？
it would be Clockwork. It would probably be Clockwork Gyro actually in the safe lane, and then Io Night Stalker off lane and Dragon Knight mid. And for IG, we're probably looking at a mid Lina, ET5 together with Morphling, and then Lion Tide off lane. For now, with how the heroes are moving, it might just be completely default setup for both teams.
Oh. If you're just joining us, welcome, friends, to Game 1 of this 2-game series. IG and group stage. We are finally here for Ti10, and they're very, very excited. And IG is posturing about now. Ever since they made this change to the game where at nighttime and 0 seconds has actually amazing. It's one of the
30 seconds to battle.
I don't know if it's overlooked per se, but it's been one of the underappreciated. Not exactly.
你这么菜的队友不会生气吧，哥
This was a
哥？
change that nobody thought would win.
That's right. One. It's captured the hearts of millions of people.
I agree. I think it's nice. It makes things spicier and more interesting to start. Cuckoo
Who's
is...
backstabbing here? He's gonna find Emo, but Astral Spirit
The
is
battle begins.
well as Ollie and company. How they're doing? Yeah, they're gonna have to back up now with that battery. So very, very scary here. LS8 not gonna be able to connect. Nice spacing there for T1. His homing missile is gonna connect. This is the first blood going the way of T1. Start for them.
Gonna go to Zephyr. Ollie used a Fairy Fire, and therefore the last hit did go on Cuckoo. I don't know if that was the point, or if he was hoping to survive there, but either way, gonna get that burst of gold onto the IO. He's gonna use this to buy a Magic Stick and a Healing Salve going to this bottom lane. Magic Stick, pretty nice here. It's not amazing by any means, but you know, at least Elder Titan will be throwing out these Astral Spirits pretty consistently, so you get those stick charges, and eventually Morphling maybe skilling Adaptive Strike. Ollie just try to trade aggressively here.
You fought and died with honor.
Very curious about the mid. Goes.
Yeah, we got DK versus Lina, the classic matchup where Lina should win. I mean, how much was nerfed in the passive for?
So it went from 4, 8, 12, 16 region to 3, 6, 9, 12.
Yeah.
So it's just worse on every level by 1.
Dire's courier
or
has
well,
been
by 1,
killed.
2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah.
And what Dragon Knights would usually do in the mid lane was that they would go either 1, 0, 2 or 0, 1, 2. So they would get the Dragon Blood up to the 8 region really fast. And having that 2-less region matters a lot when you're playing in the lane against a hero. First Blood, pretty straightforward.
Clockwork is one of those heroes. So scary.
He is very good at level 1 fights that are not a cluster. Where if you catch one hero off guard, it's like that. It's the highest damage spell in the game on level 1. So you get the full value out of that result. Very strong.
Carl mid, just a little bit behind the CS, which is expected here. DK mid in this meta, right? Well, I guess we don't even know based on what we know so far. And here, like, we'll just go flash jungle, right? Like, Lina will push the wave, go to the jungle, get a bunch of XP and build that way. So
Yeah.
you have to expect up to a better start, to a decent.
So far, it's a tie.
It is 2 minutes, kind of like 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah, I do think eventually Lina will overpower her, but what you're seeing Carl do here is that he's skilling the stun level 1, and he's just going to stun the Lina to get CS, basically. He's ensuring creeps in whatever way possible. You're seeing that the harassment is starting to mount here. He's just constantly, relentlessly just hitting him. Like, Dragon Knight can't do anything about this except, you know, playing defensively with his Dragon Blood, but again, with that being nerfed, I think we're already looking at a Healing Salve being sent out. No, Ring of Protection tangos. Carl.
Take the water rune.
And he's not even getting this water rune for much value for himself. He's getting it so that Lina doesn't get too water runes, right?
Yeah.
Water rune is just really weak now on its own after the nerfs. Carl is bullied again. We're talking a lot about this mid lane, but honestly, IG are dominating the other 2 lanes harder. Morphling is having a totally free game here. He's 17-2 against the Night Stalkers 9-1. And in the top lane, Tidehunter as well, 14 for 3 against Gyros, 10-4. So IG just off to a better start in all 3 lanes.
Yeah. You were talking about how important it is for T1 to get off to the better start.
Dire's structures
Not necessarily
are
better, but they
fortified.
need to hit the timings, I think, of daggers.
Okay, so basically at that dagger timing is what kicks in.
I think,
Like,
so.
if this were to go late game, would you, regardless of how the game is,
I really like the Radiant lineup. Powerful.
Dire's
Elder Titan is
bottom tower
always one of
is
these
under
late
attack.
game X Factor heroes.
ooh. Beating the crap out of Cuckoo there. Perfectly normal damage for
Money to
Beast
burn.
in lane. Stacks coming out here from Kaka in the triangle. I think he's only going to get the big camp here. Not able to get both that and the Ancients. Don't even know if he wants to stack Ancients here, actually.
How much impact has the nerfs to stacks made? Based on what you're still
Some, but I think primarily the heroes that were really quick ramp up heroes, like Sven, TA, probably the ones that got hit the hardest. But
who continue to get chased here by Ollie, who's taking just chip damage. It is just an IO attacking him. Feels like those attacks should heal, honestly. How they look. A Wisp after all. Still very, very well for him. Damage on the 23 Savage in the meantime, like you talked about, 15-5, and if you compare it to the position 1 IG, yeah, that is a big.
yeah, I think what you're going to be looking at for T1 here is you probably know that the lanes aren't going particularly well when you just think about standard CS on these heroes at this minute mark. So up bottom lane. Good trade-off. Ollie will be fine though. They're bullying Fly here, which is really important. If you're laning against Morphling and you can somehow lay into him, he has the Morbid Mask and obviously wants to go and hit creeps, but all the time they push him back like this, they're just controlling the flow of the farm. So that's nice. But yeah, what I was going to say is I think T1 is aware of the situation that they're in. They're going to take some time to wait. Don't think they're going to get this.
They're
going to try to get to their daggers. Pretty sure. This first nighttime is unlikely to really bear a lot of fruit. Hopefully he's going to have a better time laning at least. He'll get more farm now that he is verified. The kill potential, I think, isn't really there just yet. Very reliant on Relocate or the Dragon Knight to show up.
Yeah, nice stun there, and that's going to set up... well, actually, Pepper is into this bottom room. Might have to take it himself. Nobody in mid gets the room.
Don't get wet.
Bounties are available at each respective spot, so... Is this, you're talking about E-Blade? E-Blade game?
I think so. I mean, not necessarily first item, but I do think it just has a lot of value because you're against Dragon Knight, you're against Io. These are heroes you want to hit first with magic. You have so much synergy with it. The better assault damage here from Whitemon, but not going to be enough. And obviously, you're playing against Tidehunter with Ring of Health as well as.
So the coming out from Emo into the Hex as well. He's so dead. He pauses over the side instantly. He's from Whitemon here. Nice block from Kaka. Looks like it's going to save Emo's life as a result. That's a Dragon Knight ult down and the instant death.
And the TP. So this means that space is now freed up even more top for JT, who I think in this matchup, Tide actually, if you imagine this lane being one-on-one, I think it's just flat out Tide favored, right? Like you just run at the gyro, you anchor smash him and just hit him. And 23 Savage might just end up leaving the lane now that Tide is hitting level 6 as well. The risk of dying here is just way too high. Ravage plus any connection would be a kill. If he has to go into the jungle now, you're essentially just leaving all three lanes in IG's control entirely. This top lane is one where you did have potentially a kill with Clock plus Battery Assault and Rocket Barrage, but at this point, probably evacuate, go jungle, and try to build up.
Quite the slow jungle. One of the... Okay, that was a quick pause, so... How often in your playing experience pause the game just to untilt somebody?
Never.
Never. Right? People must do that.
It's also not allowed at TI.
It's not allowed anywhere, but it's hard to prove as well. So it's just
yeah, we don't have tactical pauses. At TI, it's strictly technical pauses. So when games are paused, you give a reason. And if it's like extended beyond whatever, especially at the main event when we're in the thing, it's yeah, it's very structured how pauses get to be used. Or Emo?
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Top of the charts right now, having himself an incredible game.
More fuel for my
Shouldn't be too
fire.
surprising. I mean, we didn't get to see a ton of IG in the last major, but first one obviously did quite well, right? So
yeah,
and Emo is a big reason for that. Question mark himself. Lifeline, you can take a void from the face, but get the attribute shift off.
It's still good to see from T1 that they are pressuring where they can here. Like, they keep running at this morphling. It might feel pointless when you look at the morph just go down to 1 HP and then morphing back up again with the attribute shift, but the alternative is if you don't do this, he's just farming, right? So yeah, you're not killing him, but you're doing economic damage at least to his game. And where else could you really do that? That's kind of the tricky part, right? Tai is a difficult kill. The Lina has won her lane and she's kind of half playing jungle, and your lineup, it doesn't really gank very well until you have daggers, right? Dragon Knight can't really get on top of people. Clockwork's level 5, and Night Stalker is... He could potentially try a dive mid or something like that, but that's what you're looking at. It's not,
Radiant's middle tower
it's not your
is under
obvious
attack.
smoke ganking supports you've got your hands on here.
Although it's not good news that Cuckoo is the top net worth for T1, but at the same time, if he can get some good impact here. Do you think it's this nighttime that he has to have a big impact?
The one at 15 to 20? I think so. I would hope for T1 they have at least one dagger then. It looks like it's not going to be Cuckoo. He's going for Echo Saber first, which is a very common Night Stalker build right now. Echo Saber into Dagger, and then you can split the Echo Saber into BKB if you need it. Dragon Knight sitting on a Tumbler's Toy will give him a little bit of gap close. Actually, he could find stuns with that. It's just a little bit of a pseudo blink, but not hovering an item right now.
Battle for the 10-minute runes again at the double damage this time. LSA. Okay, looks like they're gonna get the Rune Blade off onto Whitemon, but the heals from Zephyr come through, being a wasted ult. But the DD was taken by actually denied.
Yeah.
So Stat in the meantime getting chased by JT. All down as well. As much space as possible. Only one box connected. There's a hook shot. Whitemon is now inside the cogs with a big Ravage. They're going to be able to at least get a kill for himself before he makes his way to the grave, but negative. He will die and Ravage is on.
Very important for Whitemon to show up there. The next Anchor Smash is a kill on Savage, and he would have gone for that. He would have just Ravaged and got him in the trees. So they rotate up support here to protect, and yeah, the Ravage is used. At the very least, the silver lining there for JT is that he got that 3-man rotation while the mid wave is being pushed by a siege creep. So T1 kind of needs to put out some fires across the map right now, and now that their Clockwork as well as IO are in the top half, IG seem relatively confident with doing this, knowing that there's no hookshot to catch their Lina, who also has a Tumbler Toy. Just away. How much of the tower did they get? They got 80%. That's pretty damn good at this point for their lineup. And at the same time, Fly bottom, well, guess what? There's another siege creep pushing in the bottom lane as well. So definitely a big structural damage advantage now for IG. Their towers look very healthy. T1 towers top is half, mid is almost down like we talked about, and bottom is also half. So a lot of potentially unclaimed gold that could come IG's way in the next 5 minutes, as well as obviously the more important map control, just pushing the waves further.
What do you think at 20 Savage's build? He went Falcon Blade on the gyro. He's going for Diffusal. He has Pig Pull. Thank you.
Common, very common pickup against Morphling.
What, the Pig Pull?
Yes. When you're against Morphling, you specifically find Pig Pull. I think Diffusal Blade is just specifically targeted item.
This kill up. There's the finger of death who pops his ult and is
a little bit in the tank for these kills. It was the same with the Laguna Blade earlier, but you will cross that threshold eventually, especially if Morphling goes. Burial Blade is queuing up Manta for now, or at least the Yasha. There's two ways of looking at this. The one is all the upsides we talked about with E-Blade. The other one is, well, you're against Gyro, so if you have a sick right-click build with Flak Cannon, that is a lot of spread damage, and you already have a lot of single target damage through your mid and your 4. So maybe you want to cover your bases that way. I think both ideologies are fine in different ways. It's about what play style you're aiming for in order to win the game.
Bottom tower is under attack.
I can't say one is just objectively better than the other. It really depends on the flow and how the players feel in the game as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Is it?
Yeah. It's hard to solve.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
You can play what you feel like is the perfect game, and then you look through the replay and you find 10 mistakes that you play a game where you felt like you were terrible, and then you look through and you're like, okay, there are actually just so many factors that
Dire's top
you can
tower
be
is under
as hard on
attack.
yourself as you want, right? But there's a lot of things that can just happen that you, when you look at it,
Dire's
couldn't
structures are fortified.
really, right? Yourself.
That's the beauty of the game. Emo going to be pushing this tier 2 tower. Looks like it's going to fall one way or the other. Bye!
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
For that
So that's 2 towers for IG. All of their own towers are still very safe, and this is the makings of a very mid-game favored situation for them, because now that they've pushed out this top and mid tower, they get to start making aggressive smoke movements into the enemy jungle, either in order to kill or in order to ward. They're actually going to see the smoke right away. Didn't waste any time on that. With these towers down, they're going to smoke 3-man behind Emo, maybe rotating to bottom, which would be a very unexpected play. I don't want to go on Whitemon anyway. They don't want to waste their smoke on a Pacific 5, so maybe this one just ends up being used to place a ward. Kaka doesn't have one, though. It's only on Ollie. Kaka is leading here. They see Cuckoo. They see him, they ping him.
Pretty good kill.
Smoke breaks.
White farm. A little bit too long of a duration there.
Wait, actually, it didn't run out. It didn't go too close.
Oh, it was Clockwork with his
Oh, Clock came close enough. Okay, so he broke line, and they just called off the play.
There's the blink dagger you were talking about. initiation effort.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Is that enough to start fights, or does Gyro need a little? Because he went like obviously the diffusal's good, but
Dragon Knight Blink Dagger is always enough to start fights. It's about finding the right opportunities where you don't get counterplayed too hard, right? You're still, even with the dagger, you're playing against Elder Titan Stomp, you're playing against Ravage, which is really scary, and speaking of dagger, JT is only 400 away from his on the Tide, which makes very easy counter-initiate on relocates, counter-initiate on the Dragon Knight when he goes in. So yes, the plays are available, you need to be very selective, and ideally have some sort of a map read where you see one or two heroes that are not able to connect to the fight, so you can take a numbers advantage. The problem is, once again, you're behind on towers, so finding that man advantage and the information is just inherently harder for the Dire team in this spot, but they are going to look for it here with Moke.
yeah. From a T1's perspective, it's a little bit of a shame that they're structural damage.
I just realized we have 3 kills in 15.
It's been a bit of a slow game. I mean, this is the first game, and I'm not surprised at all. First game of
it is very slow. If you don't watch a lot of Dota, this is very uncommon.
This is League of Legends, by
It
the
is
way.
very uncommon to have this few kills.
In Dota, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, specifically, I'm sorry for talking about the game that we're actually watching here.
In Dota, yes.
Again, absolutely.
Money to burn.
Blink Dagger now online for JT is being delivered, so
Top.
ends up being like only a minute and a half difference. The offlane and the mid.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And it's not only that, but Tide has also got a hood, right? He's
Yeah.
just ahead of DK.
Yeah.
And that was the thing we talked about. Dragon Knight doesn't really want to do that pit stop for the hood, so he didn't. But Tide doesn't mind at all. Kind of game, especially with the start he's had. So yeah, the smokes haven't really borne any fruit for either team. Nobody got a ward out, even, I believe, with their smoke. Maybe actually this one between the mid tier 1 and tier 2 tower for T1 I do think was off the back of a smoke. It's very hard to get this one in without that. But they don't seem to be able to convert this ward into a mid move, which is what they want. They want to catch the tower. They're going to get a hookshot off though.
Ward for now, Emo gets out of the meantime. Looks like it might be a trade of support. And Whitemon will actually live through the day. Relocate from Zephyr coming in as well. Find anything on top of that. Dead Kaka for now.
It's something. In the meantime, Carl is pushing
Radiant's
bottom. This is a really good
bottom
play from
tower is under
T1.
attack.
You want to make sure this Dragon Knight
Radiant
ulti gets some mute
structures are
this game.
fortified.
It's taken very long for them to activate. I think they would rather be pushing the mid tier 1 with the ward they placed and then turn it into a fight with their dagger. But at the very least, they find a pick and they use it to push structure. So it's
Radiant's
very good for them.
bottom tower is
Gonna open
under
up the map a
attack.
bit. Looks like Carl will. Oh, he's actually hesitating here, worried that he is getting TP'd on because IG's heroes stopped showing top. But I think he will find his confidence now.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Here's a
attack.
replay.
Radiant's
Using
bottom
the
tower
Tumbler's
has
toy.
fallen.
I don't think he was in range to get stuck. Nice usage either way. Has a quick bind, I'm sure. You know,
Yeah.
a good hotkey choice. Okay. Investigate what that is later. Copy that. That's what you do to get better.
Do what Emo does, just type punch him.
Looks like an easy kill. Nice attempt on the hookshot onto the nuke creeps. First stack, I believe, for
Radiant
Kaka's.
are scanning.
Yep, going through Savage now. Triangle. He gets scanned. Back away. 5e sensitive.
So all in all, still a very even game. Which once again still slightly favor IG based on map control, but with this open bottom tower now that Carl managed to accomplish, that will help them a lot. Gold is basically at a point that's roughly 0. And worth noting is the value of the net worth, right? Like, we like talking about the graph and what it means, that, you know, this hero is rich and this hero is poor, but it's not always that binary. It's also about, like, how much is the gold worth. IO's mech is an insane...
That's a Ravage, and that's a dead Cuckoo.
okay,
Alright,
okay.
Elder Titan ult used as well.
He's
My
dead.
goodness. That is a double dead corpse, I believe. Carl
Yeah.
TP's out.
He got overkilled by a lot.
What if that was a thing? That would be interesting.
An overkill counter, yeah.
You spawn with less HP.
But yeah, as far as value and net worth, right? Blink Dagger is one of these perfect items for like explaining that concept, where in the right situation, Blink Dagger is worth a lot of gold, and in the wrong situation is worth nothing, right? If you're taking damage, it's dead gold. Does literally nothing. IO's mech is just, in terms of its potential for what it costs and what it can do in the game, is an insane item for its price, right? It's a guaranteed way of healing your carry a lot, turning a team fight around, and unless you're stunned, it will go off. it doesn't have the same kind of limitations. So I do think right now with the net worth, I would love to see T1 fight with no Ravage. I think this is a great move, and they're going to make use of their ward if they find Emo's.
Emo pops the BKB instantly. Looks like everybody's going to be safe as a result of this hook shot next year.
Waited for a blink
Ollie.
stop to do that.
Get hit by this one so the sacrificial lamb for IG, but they're honestly that's not that bad.
Radiant's
IG, this
middle
isn't too
tower
bad
is
if you
under
hold mid
attack.
tier 1,
It did
right?
cost them the full charge.
Radiant
BKB.
structures
It
are
did.
fortified.
They're going to glyph mid. The Dark Ascension still has a decent amount of time left on it. They might have to give this tower up, actually. Alright, nice from T1 to grab this and equalize
Radiant's
the
middle
tower
tower
score.
has fallen.
I think this could have actually gone even better for them if they had a little more patience. I think if Dragon Knight opens the Lina there, they just find this kill, but maybe Kuku felt like he had to go in and Dragon Knight was too far away, or the dagger was on cooldown and they need to... Either way.
Dire's top
Do you
tower
think he's
is under
fast enough to
attack.
pop BKB if a Dragon Knight who's already ulted blinks in and there's that little projectile? He was DK ulted already for that smoke.
It's
Just say
almost,
yes.
it's almost
Yeah.
inhuman reactions.
Quite inhuman.
If you
that's
have
emo.
no... Yeah.
Smoke again, this time from IG, but
Dire are scanning.
right, having said all this, like after the laning stage, during the laning stage, just T1 kind of lost every lane. 23 Savage has been played extremely well in top of the chart.
No Gyro will do that if given the space, and IG did make a good attempt at shutting it down at least a little bit by getting these early towers, but haven't really, like we talked about, the skirmishes didn't really work out that well.
Scout it, yeah.
Big moment, they're not even coming. No, this is one of the biggest weaknesses of Night Stalker, right?
Roshan
down
has
in
fallen
daytime
to
when it's
the
not a
Radiant.
hero.
When it's not night. That is,
Radiant's
it's
middle
pretty bad,
tower
right?
is under
So,
attack.
good reads from both teams, right? Essentially, the trade-off here is the mid-tier 1 for the Aegis. That's what happened. They knew there was no
Radiant
Ravage, so they
are
made their
scanning.
move. And then IG knows there's no Darkness or no Dark Ascension, so they make their move. And both moves are successful. Now, what are you going to use this Aegis for? So we did see Fly go for the E-Blade. He did follow through and only get the value Yasha and actually queuing up BKB. His burst now is nasty.
Oh boy, they're gonna hex 23 Savage right off the bat. Finger of death to follow, and Zephyr
Radiant's
trying to go
bottom
for the
tower
save, but
is
it's
under
not
attack.
to be. As well, so a very nice
Radiant
smoke gank after
structures
the
are
Roche was
fortified.
taken from IG.
They didn't even E-Blade.
Yeah, they didn't do
Dire's
they
middle
didn't do
tower
that
is
much.
under
They used
attack.
like 2/3 of their damage.
Radiant's
and
top
he still
tower is
died.
under attack.
What are your thoughts on
That's,
Aegis for
Dire's
Flyfly instead of Emo?
structures are fortified.
Because you can argue either way, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure why they chose on the morph. I
Radiant's
personally like
bottom
it on the
tower
Lina
is
here as
under
well
attack.
because she's a little bit more susceptible to getting killed. Perhaps the logic
Dire's
is
middle
by putting the
tower
Aegis on
has
morph, we
fallen.
can go and hit towers, right? We can push. If they do want to jump our morphling with Night Stalker plus Blink Dragon Knight Stun, they can kill him one time, but they can't do it twice. So that way, maybe. But in the same vein, though, you could do that with Lina too, right? She's not a bad pushing hero once you have a couple of items like this. It's worth 200 with insane attack speed. So I wouldn't mind either way.
Now with the Shadow Blade, does she actually go for Silver Edge here?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Good against
Invisibility.
DK.
Yeah,
See it? It's a very popular item right now.
yeah. The up-and-comers, for sure. Flyfly now, still with that Aegis, obviously hitting this tier 2 tower. See what T1 wants to do. 3 heroes, another smoke. There's the instant initiation from Carl. Damage to actually blow up Flyfly now. It's getting his attribute shift off. Inside the pocket, the emo BKB. That is a dead Cuckoo right off the bat. It'll be a 2-for-1 exchange for now. Force staff to safety. JT, reset here for IG. We still have that Aegis in.
Very good Ravage. Cuckoo obviously unable to BKB. He was caught by the Lion Stun. They BKB on the Gyro only, so it was a 4-man Ravage. Dragon Knight didn't get his off. They take an okay-ish fight. Honestly, not really a travesty for T1 either. They end up not losing their tower in all of this. So that could have gone way worse. But Aegis still intact. Flyfly, and you would imagine the next move from IG will be with their next Ravage in 100 seconds. They will have, how long?
Regeneration.
30 seconds. So there is a small window to take another massively favored fight with that second life on more. And he'll probably have the BKB for that.
Carl, he gets off the stun. We got Io coming in as well. Pick out Emo. They have the vision. They hook shot. That's going to be an easy kill. Very nicely layered there from T1. A little sneaky gank, if you will. That's 60 seconds. Essentially, you're deleting that from the age.
Yep, that's true. That should...
See a replay here. There's that big old Ravage. KB's good for IG.
Notice the Morphling's mana in all of this, right? That's the diffusal from Gyro
Radiant's
at work.
bottom tower
Really
is under attack.
forcing him out of the fight. Really do much. They're gonna be hungry for more moves with this
Dire's
Nina
top
Dev.
tower
Really
is
good
under
to see
attack.
from T1 just keep putting on the pressure when you have the mana advantage. Your lineup is very snowbally in nature, and what it can do when it's ahead, all they're gonna get for their trouble is the outpost as IG made the read and got out.
And that was without the Ags on Savage, so now that he has that double attack,
Yeah, that's
essentially.
definitely gonna help a lot.
Even more.
I think still, if you're IG now, I feel like this is a perfect timing to go smoke. Lina has Boots of Travel, so she can likely connect to your play if you make it in the right spot. And that way you get value out of your Aegis that has 50 seconds left and the Ravage coming up in 25. There's like this narrow timing of 20 seconds where you could find the dream fight. She could TP mid as well. They're very close to BKB on Morphling though, so maybe you want to wait for that. I don't know if that's better than an Aegis.
I mean, if you're T1, you have to know. Timer, you don't have to write it down technically. They should know that there's this small timing. It's only a 2K network lead for IG, so
It is.
feeling definitely bounced. But mostly on the back of the 5-man smoke, so yeah, they're timing this pretty on the dot here. The Aegis is getting seconds.
They will be unaware about the BKB though, and that could catch them really off guard. They need to be careful how they jump Fly, because if it's just the Night Stalker starting again, they might catch him here though.
Right, Fly in the river, 23
they're too
Savage.
far.
They don't have patient
The heroes are on the
in
other
position.
side. Yeah, they were looking at the
Dying
bottom
are
half with the Night Stalker and Dragon Knight.
Might want to still go though. Whitemon posturing for a hook shot. Here we go for the high ground. Kaka's going to get caught by Cuckoo. There's the BKB with the crippling clear. Looks like they'll clean up the line very easily. Onto Fly potentially. Bar on the backside. Dragon forms Cuckoo's BKB not dissipated. There's the E-Blade. Cuckoo has to kite this a bit. Shot now going to connect onto Elo. The Kaka pushing it back in. 23 seconds going to lock into the BKB. It's the same for 7. Look at the HP regen, but it's not going to be enough to save him. With Emo able to Shadow Blade out to safety. Some way, somehow lives. Double kill for Fly now. He continues just destroying kids left and right. That was extremely close to having a decent fight for T1 if Emo dies there.
There wasn't much, they didn't need much more there, just a tiny little
Dire's
bit. Of
top
course,
tower is under attack.
an issue that they are facing with their
Dire's
lineup, as we're going to see the
structures
replay
are
here.
fortified.
Cuckoo has good
Radiant
single target damage on
structures
Night Stalker,
are
right? But he
fortified.
uses everything for the lion kill. So now that they want to go for a core kill, Cuckoo
Dire's
can't
top
connect here. He's
tower
getting
is
zoned
under
off by the
attack.
Morphling. And once this fight breaks out down here, can't ever really
Dire's
reconnect
top
back in,
tower
right? And he
is
finally
falling.
gets in after another 10 seconds, just gets Laguna and dies on the spot. So obviously Gyrocopter as a carry offers insane teamfight damage, but the single target damage is not that
Dire's
good,
top
especially against
tower is
BKB
under
heroes.
attack.
And with Night Stalker having used everything he had in the tank for the Lion to open up with, they couldn't finish off Emo's Lina in time. And a well-structured fight again there for IG.
And Fly turning into Savage as well. Even the Rocket Rush.
Yep.
Where's my
Use the line
picture?
buyback, at the very least. That's the good news here for T1. It gives them a clear path into the next fight. Kill Lion, you have that man advantage guaranteed. And I do think they should do what they did again. If they can find Night Stalker an opening on Kaka, it is a super high impact play. Ravage unexpended there, by the way. Noting, I think it was uncool.
Might have been tail end there. See a 5-man smoke. One, they have vision here.
Regeneration.
BKB gets this off. It's going to focus on the Lion again. Looks like they'll be successful yet again.
This is very good.
He's going to stomp onto 2 though. I would say he's going to connect the healing. The Blade are going to be able to destroy Cuckoo in turn, so it's a 1-for-1.
Okay, it was very good.
It was, but again, the positioning a little bit tentative, or hesitant, I should say, for Carl and company in the backline.
And also just a mistake from Cuckoo, right? You can't get LS8 there, I think. You have the vision advantage. The Lina does not have any specific cast range that helps her out. I don't know if she got him out of the Silver Edge, I think it's more forgivable. Maybe that's what happened, just got clipped on the edge by a stun he wasn't expecting, but yeah, he's ahead of his team and nobody was there to save him. There was no IO heals coming in, just being connected there with Savage, so end up just selling their Night Stalker basically fight, and that just ends the chase that could have looked interesting, right? Because that's where they had that Lion advantage. Going through with no buyback that they nicely set up.
I mean, right now, I'm trying to understand T1's their right way to put this.
Mindset?
Their position to win, like the game goes further, because look at Carl's items. I know you can go Silver Edge, just gonna give, like right now he has no damage, absolutely nothing, until you get that Silver.
So we're just gonna help for sure.
Like right now in these fights, they have one hero doing kind of an issue.
Boom! There it goes. Are scanning.
Yeah, Night Stalker can still perform that function, as long as his BKB lasts 8 seconds currently. So I don't think damage is an overwhelming concern right now, but I think somewhere down the line, if Cuckoo and Carl don't start getting some big damage, it will
Radiant
definitely.
are scanning.
There's smoke going. Get the initiation off.
There it goes.
Reg is officially online. The Mindbreaker in his backpack act.
Extra bit of protection.
Farm the jungle. Wards off as well.
Yeah, I didn't find what they were looking for, except just protecting the Roche pit. They know Roshan is spawning soon, they're Radiant. Getting these deeper wards around the Roche pit is really strong in this position. So that if T1 try to contest, you will either break their smoke there, or you will even see them if they're out of smokes. And obviously, the Observer Ward, always going to be an important tool, but has even added value against Knights. That hero thrives off vision advantage. Take that away from them a lot of the time, Night Stalker. Placed. Roshan spawns in 40 seconds. They obviously do
Radiant's
not know this,
tower
but they
is
can
under
narrow
attack.
it down, right? The timer now is approaching the later portion of his respawn,
Yeah.
so probably just hang around here, wait for the respawn, and I think T1 has to fight them for it. I don't think you can give this Aegis up. Roche number 2.
And it's
They
off.
have everything, right? They have nice soccer ult, they
Fuel
have
for
hook
my
shot,
fire.
get vision constantly with this rock.
Shard 2. Actually,
Shard.
I feel like it's kind of cute to give the shard to ET in this game, but the Lion one is also good. The reason the ET one is cool is he's playing with a lineup, so
JT, get a watch out for this. Off the X, hits the rabbit onto several heroes. Those 23-second complications just rankless. His charge gets out 2 for 2 as the buyback comes out now from the Ti10. JT back to the fight very shortly. Staying on the high ground, be able to finish up Whitemon pretty easily. Now that has been expended, he's going to focus everything on the 23 savage. He's going to get destroyed. Cuckoo with very little HP. Looks like he'll get out, but this likely means a free Roche for IG.
it's bad news for T1 when you lose a fight where your Gyro has Satanic and DD. But look at the damage, right? Like the damage numbers. Gyro did everything. Nobody else even seemingly got anything off. Carl just got blasted, did 95 damage total. I don't even know how that's possible with Dragon Knight. Maybe he hit a Dragon Tail. Yeah, probably what it was, right? It just got annihilated. It's just, you're gonna see here in the replay, right? So they catch him as the opener, blast him immediately, take him out. Morph turns into Gyro, goes for the flat cannon hits, and Cuckoo lucky to survive there as well on that, and will obviously reset out here. Not trying to like poke and prod at Emo, but he's just set and survive. Cuckoo will be the lone survivor flying away. So huge lead now going the way of IG, 9k Aegis.
Alright, let's talk about Shard. Right?
They gave the shard to...
Well, Flyfly has it in his backpack. He's not going to use it.
So, okay, so here's why I think it could be cool on ET here is...
They don't have any crazy shards.
Right, that's...
Ti10
First of all, that's why you could consider.
objectively.
Obviously, the ET doesn't have the Ag Scepter yet, so you are exposing yourself. But what the shard does on the ET is that you can choose to replace your Astral Spirit position when you stomp, right? So let's say he finds a stomp onto either Gyro or DK, he can get on top of them and remove that armor. So Morph can just blast them immediately, right? During a Hex, for example. I think it's cute, but at the same time, maybe the risk-reward isn't good enough for it. Because you're also putting yourself in an awkward position, right?
It sounds more like a cool...
Yeah, when he has Ag, if he had the Scepter, I think they would give it to him on the spot.
Alright, so right as usual, set the to your elders here.
If he had it on ET, if he had the X Scepter, they would have given it. Trust me. Source, trust me.
All right, if he had 6,000 gold worth of items, in addition to what he has, plus what.
Dire's top tower
No
is
idea
under
what that makes
attack.
me.
Just listen.
Yep, listening.
Dire's
All right,
top
he's a
tower
tier 3
has
tower
fallen.
down. Flyfly is doing so much damage with the addition
Dire's
of
top
Emo at
barracks
his
are under
side.
attack.
And with his Aegis, I can't blame T1 for not even
Dire's top barracks has fallen.
Still, the Aegis, plenty of time. Or you can just go for another set.
Yeah, I think you just go mid. I don't even know if you need the creep wave. Maybe they do want to ensure it.
Play it safe here.
Yeah, they have time. Aegis with 2.5 minutes is more than enough to push out the mid wave and go next. So they're going to take it nice and easy.
So yeah, the
nothing
Anchor
to
Smash
go
shard we should mention. I'm going to do this every cap.
Okay.
When people complain. But actually no, I'm not going to. You get the extra damage on Anchor Smash and it does damage. Even more pushing potential.
Yeah.
With the lineup that they have, it's not needed, but it's nice to have.
Yeah, I guess that's why Flyfly was hanging on to it for so long. They were like, man, none of our shards feel amazing. Which one is least bad?
Yeah,
And
Lena's is really weird. I mean, Lion's is pretty.
I think they should have given it to Lion, honestly. I think the Lion one would have been better than
Illusion.
But just because it gives you a line of protection against some potential plays.
I think the issue with that is that it ends up being a waste when Night Stalker blinks on.
Dire's middle
do
tower
anything.
is under
It's Ghost
attack.
Scepter for that at least. So you can outlive that and then maybe
Okay.
monitoring the follow-up.
So the
stuns,
Void is
perhaps.
going to do like 800 damage. That's the math.
Yeah. I mean, so far everything you've said about numbers has been like 100%
Just
off.
ignore the numbers
Literally.
and just listen to what I'm trying to say. Not very eloquent.
Dire's middle tower has
Tier 3
fallen.
down again.
Waveformed into the rocket, a little bit of mistake there, doesn't matter though.
Good effort.
And it's just going to keep pushing. They still have a 2 siege
Siege
creeps
as well. There's BKB from Carl in the back line. They're going to be able to take out Only right off the bat. Very nice. Go ahead and fly back into the game now. Trying to find somebody in the back line as well, but going to be the clockwork for now. So I think T1 probably back to the high ground they go. Is to relocate to just avoid the homing missiles. And with that BKB dissipating now, IG in prime position to take not only a second rack, but potentially a game.
You know, the relocate's coming back.
Dire's
Nice
middle
stomp timing there.
There's the Ravage to follow it up. It looks like that's going to be an easy peasy kill onto 23 Savage. He does have buyback though. Garl going to get connected.
Dire's middle barracks.
There. Trying to go on him. The Cuckoo jumps in perfectly here, but has to back away immediately. Just doesn't really have that much presence now. But he keeps it down. Echosoft's going to connect. On 23 Savage, he jump TP'd in. Then the triple kill from Flyfly and a dieback onto 23 Savage. So game 1
生
going
气
to
吧
go
哥
to
哥，这么菜的
IG
队友不会生气
convincing
吧
fashion,
哥哥？
which
Dire's ancient is in
Invictus
victory.
League is still a Duke level. But they did come back. Yes, they had good presence. But it just felt like they had one hero that was doing a lot of other things. Dragon Knight mid, we talked about the pitfalls potentially of this hero.